Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for a new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, June 9, 2025. So we're kicking it off with starting John's funeral or part one of his funeral. So we see Steve and Kayla. So they're just going over today and what is to be expected. And to talk about Bo and that he's recovering real nicely. So on that note, Steve tells Kayla that he's shutting down Black Patch. He just packed up John's belongings. He just can't do it no more. It's nothing without John. So Kayla is surprised because it's so sudden and she knows that that's what he does for his livelihood. Even though she's worried about how dangerous it can be, she also knows how important it is to him. So he said that it's not the same without his partner and he'll just have to find something else to occupy his time, but he'll be fine. He worries about how he's going to approach Marlena at the funeral service. And, he feels guilty because, he felt like if it wasn't for him and calling John, maybe he would be here today. So Kayla said, no matter what, Marlena doesn't blame you. Remember that John insisted on coming to help save Bo's life. And Roman also chimed in and said, look, because of you, Bo is here and he's alive and well, recovering. So he said that don't blame yourself. So, anyways, he said that he's coming to the service with them because Kate is still at the hospital with Philip and they're asking him if she's going to attend. And he said yes later on because now that Xander is out on bail, she's just worried that Xander might retaliate on Philip. So she wants to just be there to protect him in any way. But she'll definitely not miss it because everybody John meant something to everybody, and she is going to be there to support as well. So Shane also makes an appearance. He tells Marlena how sorry he is and that John was one of the best agents that he had, and John was also a dear friend. And she said she knows how much he meant to him and him to John. And, he just said that he wouldn't be anywhere else. So Paul also comes through. I guess Andrew comes through. Andrew also tells Molly that he's sorry for her loss. And, Paul and the rest of them come in. Paul, Belle, Carrie, and Eric come in to support their mom throughout this thing. They were there in the square, talking about how John was always prepared with the mints and the tissues and everything. And now they have to be doing that. And, everybody is just getting ready to go attend the service. So Brady's over at Kristen's getting Rachel ready for the ceremony. And, she is just, she has all these green bows that her grandpa John gave her. And she just wanted to wear it to really honor him, but at the same time she's kind of feeling uneasy about going. And he's like, is it your stomach? And she said, not really. He said, you were fine 5 seconds ago, what's going on? So she said that she just feels guilty because she had this nightmare about her grandpa dying and now it's really actually true. So he said, don't blame yourself. He just came to you in a dream telling you goodbye, so don't feel bad about it. It's not your fault, right? So remember, you're there to really pay your respect. You're there to just show up for your grandpa John. He would have liked if you came there, right? So after some convincing, he was able to bring her there, right? So Tate and Ari are talking in the square. They're also heading over to the ceremony. And, Ari is just telling Tate how she's gonna miss her great grandpa. It's her first funeral and she just doesn't know what to expect. And she also doesn't know how her and her dad are because he probably might give her a lecture about not disappearing again like what she did the other night. So Tate was like, what's that all about? So she said that she went out with a guy, had fun with him. She doesn't want to really tell the name right now, but she's asking Tate to keep it a secret for now. So he's like, I'm not going to tell nobody, but just be careful. Like, you don't want to be in the same predicament that I am, welcoming the baby. So anyways, they walk over to the ceremony together and, he's keeping her company. Rachel comes over and Rachel's like, is this your new girlfriend? I know you and Holly broke up. So he's like, no, we're actually step cousins, right? So Brady did come over and say hi to the both of them and, Tate asks him about Rachel, how she's doing. So he tells her that, he tells him that she's holding up. She didn't really want to come, but he had to convince her. And he asked about Kristen if she's going to show up. And he said, no, Kristen actually did the gracious thing to not attend because she doesn't want to upset Marlena, which I think is the most grown thing that she could do, right? And kudos to Kristen because she's definitely shown a lot of growth to her character. So Marlena is there and everybody's just greeting her from, Paulina and Abe to Julie, all the kids. Then Steve and Kale and Roman also gave their best. And, Steve was kind of afraid to approach Marlena because of his guilt. And, she thanks him for bringing his mementos there. And he said to her, like, that's the least I can do. I just feel so guilty about what happened. If it wasn't for me, John would still be here. And Marlena said, don't blame yourself. Like, he insisted, that's who he is. He wanted to help to save your brother's life, so don't worry about it. So he started breaking down, and definitely was a sad moment to see the two of them hugging and all of that, right? So Bella and Carrie, they were there just talking, looking over the flowers and the mementos and seeing the different arrangements. So one was from Vivian Alamy, and they were talking about how hideous it looked, and they saw arrangement from Sammy and Sydney, and Belle was saying how she sent a floral arrangement over there, but she's kind of glad that Sammy couldn't make it because she didn't want another scene like what happened in EJ's hospital room and her confronting her about her relationship with EJ. And Carrie's like, she shouldn't be in a position to really tell you how, who to be with. And, honestly, she's getting payback for what she did, being in a relationship with my husband all these years ago. And we all know the history between her and Austin and Sammy, that whole thing. But I'm saying at some point, I'm not, condoning what Sammy did in the past. Or, she can be a lot sometimes, but the two of them is, they're acting like little high school girls talking about how they're glad Sammy's not here. And I'm saying Sammy has every right to be there because she's also, John's stepdaughter and everything. And she has a right to be there for her mom. Like, who are you two to just be glad that she's not here? Like, you guys are not any better and acting like y'all morally correct or self-righteous. I was not here for that, right? So anyways, Carrie said maybe it's for the best you and EJ should be together. And she said she's conflicted because maybe your dad would want them to be together. And Brady's also agreeing on that front as well, that he wouldn't be in agreement with it. There's a scene with Eric getting ready. He's going to officiate the ceremony, and Roman was talking to him. And, he just remembered how John would be there as a father figure when he thought mom died. And, how he was just there for him when he had nobody else. And he's sorry to say that to Roman. And Roman understands it because he wasn't really there, for other circumstances. And he said John would be proud of you as I am right now. There was a scene with Julie and Paulina was just mentioning that, this is Julie's first funeral since Doug and how she feels. So she said that she had to come and support Marlena. Marlena needs all the love that she can get. And she gets that. And, Paulina knows that, Julie is a great person to even, encourage that. So she sees Kat over there and, she's wondering why Kat's there. So Paulina says, she's Marlena's assistant. Maybe she's there to pay her respects. So she said, I understand that, but, just not really into her. So anyways, Kat comes over, says hello to them. And she said, I heard about your date with Chad. And she said, yeah, it went really well. And she said, yeah, Jennifer told me all about it and how you caused him to sprain his leg. And she said, well, Chad really asked to go out on this date. So she said, I really don't care regardless. So she leaves, right? And I'm saying, Julie doesn't have to be nasty. And this is not the time or place to be having that kind of conversation at the funeral, saying that Jennifer and Jack, glad they're not here. And I'm saying, sometimes some of these people are they don't know how to be classy, and this, it's not tasteful, right? So anyways, there was a little weird part where Kat sees Shane and she says commissioner. So I'm wondering if Kat was an agent. She's an undercover agent. I don't know what's going on. There was this, and then there was a whole thing where she recognizes Sammy. So this is, really weird, and how it's going to come all together. There was a scene with Johnny and Chanel. They're there, and they say hi to Rachel. Rachel says hello and just quickly run away. So of course she's still weird around Johnny, and they don't understand what's going on. And Chanel's saying maybe it is just, she's sad about Grandpa John. But anyways, everybody's getting ready to settle down for the funeral, and they just show this whole display with John and his pictures back in the day, baseball and all that. So it's definitely going to be a sad and emotional week, saying goodbye to another legacy character. But let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.